me this morning.
We will.
You're
in safe hands, I
trust you. All right, then. So today we'll be looking at different issues from the banter. We'll be discussing the issue, talk about the scarcity of gas, and then we'll also be looking at, for the discussion number one, falling food prices in the Northwest, where we'll be having our guests to talk about the food crisis. The Osun local government allocation, federal government releases funds, PDP goes to court, which will be the conversation for Abuja. And much later, we'll definitely be having Olamide on the other side, where she'll be giving us what is actually trending in the country. Talk about trending now. But let's start off with the story. Long queues continue to persist at the few gas stations that have supply in parts of the Southwest. The prices have also gone up significantly despite the suspension of the strike by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria last week. Consumers who struggled to refill their cylinders have described the experience as frustrating and exhausting. They say that a kilogram of cooking gas now goes for as high as 3,000 naira and 3,500 naira at retail outlets. Industry players blame the scarcity and hike in cost on the distribution of product supply brought on by the recent industrial action by Pengasan. I was surprised yesterday and just a few days ago to see how people are queuing for cooking gas. I saw cooking gas in videos making the rounds where people queue their gas. We can see something like that, as though they are in filling station, queuing to buy fuel. I've never experienced that in my life. I don't know whether it happened, but as far as I can remember, I do not think this has happened. And this goes to show how I'm trying to, moderate the kind of word I'm using, because when you see a group of people who call themselves union members, and then the only thing they can do to drive home their points, their agitation, is by trying to do everything to make Nigerians suffer, even though they say they are fighting the cause of Nigerians. And then they told us that, yes, Dangote sacked 800 members of his staff because he alleged them sabotage. And then you are now, on a macro level, sabotaging the economy. You now become the saboteurs of the Nigerian economy because you promised us that we'll have 30 days of supply of petrol and gas. But look at it, it's just barely 3 or 4 days.
So at the end of the day, my anger was squarely 150% on Pengasan. I just could not relate with the fact that Nigerians have to go through what we went through. Me, number one, I did. Yeah. I was at the gas filling station waiting to buy gas too, and I felt really angry. How can you say you are a union that's fighting for the welfare of the people and you are putting the people in such situations? I mean, you needed to see how gas sellers were just, look, the prices were fluctuating. 10 minutes, it's 2,500, then it's 1,800, then it's 3,000. In one day, the prices were going up and down because of Pengasan. Look, I don't think they need a lot of creativity to be able to know how to approach these agitations without putting the people through what Nigerians went through over this weekend and even before.
Yeah, you can recall Olamide Dangote saying that these people are behaving like terrorists. And at that point, we felt that was a very strong word, because these are supposed to be union members fighting the cause of certain number of people, the interest of some Nigerians, so to speak. But this act, as you've seen, the results, the attendant impact of this, we see how people are now, running up and down to look for gas. Isn't this justified? I mean, isn't Dangote justified by making that word?
I think my take home from this team is definitely that Nigeria has a very fragile energy supply chain. Yeah. For the fact that this one union, decided to hit back and stand their ground, it's affecting all of us. Our energy supply chain should not be this fragile in the first place. But I think that it is the job of the government, Dangote and Pengasan going back and forth. The job of the government and our Consumer Protection Act is to protect us. Yeah. And so regardless of this conflict going on, there should be safeguards in place and policy in place to protect us. It's so rudimentary that in 2025, we're still discussing gas prices, team. It would be very sad to see families now weighing the option of charcoal or firewood in this 2025 when other countries are talking about renewable energy. The government must protect us. That is our first duty as to protect consumers. And I want to see people like the NCCPC get involved, Consumer Protection Acts and policy put in place so that we don't have to be caught at the crossfire of this conflict.
Yeah, Nelson, some people are even asking the question, why is it that you have such a union that is as strong, even almost stronger than the government, just hyperbolic. But the thing there is, why should we have people who are holding Nigeria's economy by the jugular? You say you're fighting because of Nigerians, but then you're putting us through these, problems.
Ibrahim, I tell you a story. Osofia was brought before Igwe to argue how the caretaker of the community takes care of the community. And Osofia asked Igwe, he said, look at this caretaker you're talking about. He's wearing a new cap, a new isiagu, a new look. And you're saying he's taking care of the community. Meanwhile, members of the community are crying, different wahala going on. Yeah. And he said, obviously, the monies we're contributing ends up in this man here. That's exactly what Pengassan really is. The caretakers of the oil sector who are looking fatter. Some of them, you look at them before they came into office, they look like me, slim. But now, in a few months or probably years after, their jaws are everywhere. So, frankly speaking, from what has been coming out from the investigations we've seen with Pengassan now, clearly they don't have the interests of Nigerians at mind. Because if they really do, you cannot be seeing this kind of suffering going, not just in gas now, in fuel, petrol, petrol as well. We're seeing these queues. Some fueling stations don't even have fuel as well. If gas is now jumping from 12,500 for 12 kg to now 17,000, that's a 34% increase. And what's the earning power of some of the Nigerians who are queuing on this thing? Because again, if you look at these Pengassan members, I'm not really sure some of them are, come on the queue like this to buy fuel. Maybe they have a special place to get their fuel or fuel and gas supplies from. Because if they are getting beaten the way, because remember some years ago, Sanusi came out to say, when he was a CBN governor, he came out to say he doesn't know how fuel is brought into his car. All he knows is he just jumps into the car and goes away wherever he wants to go to.
How awesome
That's probably what is happening to this, because if they are on the same queue like every other Nigerian, they will know when it is biting and when to stop this madness.
Yeah, and the painful thing is, at the time when we used to have a whole lot of monies devoted for turnaround maintenance, we have 4 refineries that are not even active, they're not even working. At the point they said one is working, the Port Harcourt refinery. These people were not out there to champion the cause of Nigeria, to say, no, we have to put an end to this corruption and all of that. Now we have an organization, a company, an industry that is coming on board, talking about Dangote refinery, ensuring that, yes, we have this, and even exporting the produce of this refinery outside of the country, go to Texas, Lament, etc. And now you have these people coming together to hold us by the jugular. It's really
something should be done to whittle down their powers. Something should be either by government or by the members of Pengassan itself.
We say want to hold the big stick at the end of the day. It's the government.
Absolutely. We see what happens, in the coming days, because Port Harcourt residents, they have, this supply in large quantity, but those of us down south and some other places are really reeling from this impact. Well, we'll take a breather and return for the newspaper review. They join us again. We'll be right back.